Well, hello everyone. Nice to have you with me for the next little bit. As you probably realize, I haven't uploaded the video for the entire week. Very good reason for that, because I've been very busy actually working on a video. Uh, and let me move it to here so I can show you. And I'll try to pick them up all at the same time. I don't know if I can do it. I have a feeling, well, no, I think if I stack them on top of each other, they'll fall over just like they did. Um, so, I mentioned recently that I had a lot of tapes of video that I shot when I was living in Beijing about 20 years ago, some of which I'd never seen before. And here is a stack of them right now, and you're going to be seeing this stack in one short moment. So I decided this week to go through them because I realized that many of them were either in the wrong box or I hadn't originally labeled them correctly. So I've been spending the last week going through, and this is the honest-to-God truth, 427 of them. Yes, 427 digital videotapes like this. All shot on this camera, which is behind me, which I'm picking up right now. All shot on this camera right here. Surprisingly, actually, this camera still works because this is what I was using to make digital versions of all the tapes. Well, not all of them, but some of them. You may remember in a video that I did a few weeks ago, I was talking about a motorcycle called a CJ750, a Changjiang 750, which I owned when I was in China. Now, that bike, when I left China, because I wanted to get it sent back home, I thought, you know, I'm going to ride it, which is exactly what I did. I rode it from Beijing all the way to the Netherlands in about 7 weeks. And I'll be showing you a video of that trip very soon, as soon as I finish transferring all that video over. The funny thing is actually all this video that you're going to be seeing right now is video that I had not seen until I started to transfer it over. I kind of knew what was on some of the tapes, but there were a lot of things that I completely forgot about. And you're probably wondering, well, why didn't I do anything with them at the time? Well, at the time, there was no YouTube. And it was really just for personal purposes. And I thought that, oh, maybe one day I'll do something with them. Actually, though, some of the stuff was used for a television documentary that I did in 2010. Not all of it, maybe only like a few minutes or so. But the rest of it is stuff I had not seen until this week when I started editing it and making a digital copy. So I decided for the first one of these, because the one that I did from Beijing to the Netherlands, that's going to be some time, and I'm not going to do it all in one go like I did with this one here. I'm going to take my time with that one. But I thought that we'd begin with this one. So, well, let's begin right now. So let's, I'm going to do some narration as I show you the video at the same time. So the shop that you're seeing right here is called CJ Motorcycle. It's in Beijing. That's the owner, and his son is right there. The guy in the black t-shirt, I remember, is German. But anyway, this is the CJ750, which is a sidecar that has a rather interesting history. The design originally came from the Soviet Union. After the Second World War, the factory that was making them in became East Germany, the Soviets took over. They brought it back to Moscow, and they started making the Ural bikes, which are basically a copy of a BMW R71. Now, you may see some BMW badges, but that was just for decoration purposes. They're not BMWs at all, but they're based on a BMW R71. Anyway, after China became a communist country, the Soviet Union were sending the parts to China where they were assembled. And that went on for a few years until the late 50s when the Chinese said, well, we'll make them ourselves. Now, China made these bikes from probably 1957, 1958. The last one that came off the production line wasn't that long ago. It was only in 2004. These bikes were originally made for the Chinese Army, the People's Liberation Army. Surprisingly, actually, the quality is quite good, actually, because they were military bikes. In the 1990s, when the military started phasing them out in favor of more modern bikes. Because the company that was making them, these, called the Nanchang Aircraft Company, is a state-owned enterprise, they just kind of continued making them, and all of a sudden they were being sold for civilian use in the 1990s. Military ones, however, were decommissioned and people bought them up, and yeah, so I mean, millions and millions of these were made. At the time in Beijing, I think maybe the prices changed a little bit, but a new one, so let's say the last 10 years that they were being made, a new one was around $1,200. Or you could buy a military surplus one, like the ones you're seeing right now, which I know are the military surplus ones, for like between $300 and $500. Condition always wasn't the best, but parts were cheap, they're easy to get fixed. Anyway, that's a very, very brief history on them. They are no longer being made, but they still are available. So anyway, this is a trip that myself and my friend Ken, who you'll probably see in a moment, we organized every so often to ride outside the city. That's Ken right there. And we used to organize these trips with other people that had these bikes to head outside of Beijing. So this road here, I remember, is the road that goes to the Beijing City Capital Airport. And he had another shop near the Beijing airport, which is where we are right now. And we were meeting up with more bikes. I think that trip there was probably... Oh. It started off as maybe 30 bikes. And when we got to the area that we were going, people decided to go in different directions, but it was still maybe 25, 20 or so. So, yeah, this is heading outside the city of Beijing. And Beijing is such a vast, vast city. Just to get out of the city, out of the municipality of Beijing, is almost an hour and 30 minutes. Now you're seeing different colored license plates. You're seeing yellow, you're seeing black. And this one right here is black with a red symbol. They're all very different. And I'll explain it to you. They're really out of the mountains. It's a beautiful area. But I'll explain the license plate system that they used to have in Beijing. So if it was a yellow plate, that meant it was a Beijing bike, and it was sold to somebody who was a local Beijing resident. Black plates were plates that were for vehicles that were driven or ridden by foreigners. And the one that you saw with the red symbol, that was a diplomatic video. Oh yes, I remember this guy here. Clutch cable broke on his bike. Actually, he had a lot of trouble with his bike that day. The other thing, of course, about the CJ750 I should mention is that they are very, very easy to repair. Very easy to repair. Just like what Sheng is doing right now with this one. Clutch cables on these things were, well, I mean, you just carried an extra two because they would break quite easily. But if you're going to break down, hey, what a beautiful spot to break down, and that's all I can say. Yeah, really nice area. Sometimes this area is actually filled with water when it rains, but not much of a stream today, as you can probably see. But yeah, when it does rain, this area does flood out dramatically. It's called Honghuacheng. It's outside Beijing, and like I said, it's an absolutely beautiful area. You're probably realizing, wait a second, the color looks a little funny. Well, like I said, this is a PAL videotape, which is only 625 lines of resolution. Oh, these things. Oh my God, yes. These little trucks you see all over Beijing and all around China, and you can probably hear the sound right now. Very smelly, and I was very surprised actually one time in finding out how much they were. One of these like three-wheel trucks is like super cheap. like less than $1,000 US. There's Shang again fixing the clutch cable. He also had another problem on this trip as well, which you'll see later on as we go along. He was having a considerable amount of trouble that day. It was rather amusing. Now, when we would organize like large group trips like this, Shang would always come along with us, and in his sidecar, he would always carry vast amount of parts, everything from clutch cables, spare tires, even one time a clutch, because somebody's clutch broke down. He did a roadside repair of the clutch. What else would he bring? Batteries, spare generators, ignitions, points. There, I'm in the front. Anyway, that was fixed up, and we're heading on our way again through the Huanglacheng area. It's a very nice day. And I know some people are going to say, oh, but none of you are wearing helmets. Well, this is China, and while you're legally supposed to wear helmets in China, it's something that's not really enforced. The police can't really be bothered to enforce it that much. Anyway, what do we have coming up next on this? Because I only edited it this week. There's Chung again, there's Ken. Very nice day. I remember this day now very well. This road, as you see, is not in very good condition. Very bumpy. And that's because there are a tremendous amount of falling rocks and landslides actually that happen here. It is a bit of an earthquake area, but quite beautiful, as you can see. And just, it is amazing because, you know, China has so many, there's like 1.4 billion people, but you can go here and you honestly think you're the last person on the planet. Now, this stop here, either this was a break or somebody else had another breakdown. No, we didn't have a breakdown there. It was just a little break. I mean, this trip, what I've cut it down to is like 15 minutes, but the whole thing was from 6:30 in the morning to around 7 o'clock at night. So a beautiful day. I mean, the scenery there is just absolutely astonishing. You just get used to the bumpy roads. But the CJ750 is, well, the only suspension is basically the seat. There are two shocks in the back, but they're not what I would call good. They're actually horrible. Put it that way. Your spine probably makes a better suspension. Every time we would organize these excursions, we always went to a different area outside Beijing. Usually they were day trips. Sometimes we would do overnight trips. And I have to say, one of the advantages with traveling with a sidecar, especially if you don't have a passenger, is the amount of stuff that you can pack in there. When I upload that video from that trip that I did from Beijing to the Netherlands, you'll see how much stuff I actually packed in the sidecar. Even a small portable generator. So, you know, I mean, sidecars are quite... They're very different to ride than ordinary motorcycles, I have to say. If you've never ridden a sidecar, it is very different. It is very, very different. Now, these bikes as well, like mine that I had when I was in Beijing, sometimes I would take off the sidecar and just ride it as a bike. But there was a few other things you had to change on it as well. Sometimes adjust the suspension and change the tires. And if you look closely, you'll see these tires are not round tires, they're very square. So, as a sidecar, yeah, they're fine. But when you're riding it as a single, without the sidecar, having that kind of tire is not exactly the greatest, especially for cornering or anything. Is this the other breakdown that we had? Oh, this is the other breakdown that we had. Same guy. So as we were making our way down the mountain, you'll see in a moment what's going on. All of a sudden, he lost all his gearbox oil. All the oil from his gearbox leaked out. And, because of the amount of vibration on these bikes, sometimes little bolts and things go missing. But there we are. Yeah, Sheng is putting some oil into the gearbox. And the funny thing, unfortunately, I only have a picture of it somewhere. I thought I actually had it on video. But because the bolt had come undone, it's not like you carry an extra bolt for like that, right? So actually, Shang went to the side of the road, got a piece of wood, took out his pocket knife, and shaped it like a bolt, and then hammered it in. And it got him back to Beijing. When he got back to his shop, he said, "Come by and I'll put a proper one on." But this is what I mean. Like, these bikes are very easy to repair by the side of the road. They're not fast. I mean, they are 750cc. There are some 24 horsepower ones here and 32 horsepower ones. I can tell by the cylinder heads. But I mean, the top speed, if you're lucky, is maybe 75 or 80. And of course, if you carry 2 passengers or 3 passengers, you'll probably get a lot less at the same time. This is another stop when somebody ran out of fuel. My bike, I always had 2 jerry cans. One was filled with oil, and the other was filled with fuel, because you never knew when you'd run out of any. And there's no petrol gauge, and you can have 2 similar bikes, and they're both running. They're using different amounts of fuel. I mean, they are fun to ride. That's something I can say. Very sort of you never know what you're going to get. But we always carried extra fuel for that. I did anyway. Some guys would ride it without, and then they get stuck somewhere, and they'd be calling, "Hey, I'm stuck somewhere. Can you help me?" There's another one of the little blue trucks I was telling you about in the background. I mean, it was funny because there was no fuel gauge. There were some guys that were saying, "Oh no, it's okay," but well, it really wasn't. That's shiny. The 2 boxes you see in front, like they look like military boxes. He would keep all his tools in that. One big jerry can. The petrol station where everybody was kind of filling up at the same time. And I believe we even have another stop where somebody else broke down or they ran out of fuel coming up. It was really funny. It's like, "We're stopping at a fuel station. Please fill up, guys." "Oh, no, I'm okay." "Really?" "Oh, right." And then, like, an hour later. We can see a very, mixture of people. Um, this guy here is from Malaysia, I remember. He worked at the Malaysian embassy. That's Ken. And, no, I think we didn't have another breakdown. It may be another one that we did, but, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And, I will be bringing, some more of this stuff in the future when I transfer more of the tapes. Like I said, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed that. It was fun for me. It was fun watching because, like I said, I hadn't seen any of this stuff in almost 20 years. Anyway, I'll say it again. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye-bye.